Your first guided motorcycle tour can go one of two ways. You either try to control every detail and watch it fall apart, or you can learn to read the group and let the road decide. I chose the hard way. 12 days across Sardinia with 2 strangers and fast bikes, and by day 7 we weren't even talking rest days anymore. April 2025, the season opener. My first official guided tour, and it matters. Not just because it's Sardinia or because it's the start of the season, it matters because this is what I've been working toward. If I can pull this off, if I can lead 2 experienced riders through 12 days and have them come back wanting more, then I know I can do this. I know this business can work. I'm a planner, a perfectionist, and I want this to be the best riding experience these guys ever had. That's the standard I'm holding myself to. 2 riders signed up, Peter and Christian, both experienced, both on Ducati Multistradas, fast bikes, capable riders. Small group and high pace. The tour starts in southern Germany and we have 12 days ahead of us. The final destination, an island in the Mediterranean that's been on every rider's bucket list for a reason. Now getting from Munich to Sardinia takes about 2 days, down to the ferry port across the Mediterranean, and then you're on island ground. For some people, those 2 days feel like wasted time, but they're not. Not when you make them part of the trip, which we did. Day 1 takes us across smaller roads toward the Lake Garda region. We're avoiding major highways, choosing routes that can make the journey part of the experience instead of just a means to an end. We ride up and over the Jaufen Pass. At the top, we stop to take it all in. That's when Christian notices something. A screw from his helmet that holds the visor had become loose and fallen out somewhere along the way. Not ideal on day 1. But we figure it out. We find a small town nearby, track down a local hardware store and get a replacement screw. Problem solved. It's one of those small moments that could have been frustrating, but instead it just becomes part of the day. We're laughing about it, the locals are helping us out, and we're back on the road. We ended up in a small historic town near Lake Garda. Centuries-old buildings, narrow street, the kind of place that feels frozen in time. The accommodation is a charming old house and we arrive with daylight to spare. And then we realize we've landed in the middle of something special. April 30th, the town's biggest festival of the year. Music, food stands, locals everywhere, an atmosphere you can't plan for. There's a stage set up with live music, marketplaces lining the street and the smell of grilled food filling the air. We grab drinks, wander through the festivities, listen to music and soak it all in. What could have been just another stopover becomes one of those nights you remember, not because of the riding, but because of the timing. Couldn't have planned it any better. Day 2 is about getting the rest of the way to Livorno, where we'll board the overnight ferry to Sardinia. But we're not taking the straight shot. The journey has 3 sections, a scenic start, a faster middle stretch and a scenic finish. We start by riding alongside Monte Baldo, a mountainous area with some of the most popular motorcycle roads in the region. I've been on these roads multiple times and they never get old. It's spring, so the colors are incredible. Light greens, fresh leaves just coming out, and at a certain point you can peek over and see Lake Garda from higher elevation. It's beautiful. We stop at a small cafe for a coffee break. It's quite busy, weekend or public holiday I think, but the vibe is good. Then we hit the straight section, the Autobahn stretch to cover some ground. We're riding the final stretch towards Livorno and my phone buzzes. Ferry delay. It's already a late night departure and now it's pushed back even further. I'm doing the math in my head. If we rush, we'll sit at the port for hours. If we slow down, we risk missing it entirely. The pressure sits heavy in my chest. But then I look at the road ahead. Curvy, empty, golden light filtering through the trees. Peter and Christian are riding smooth and relaxed. No one's in a hurry. So I make the call. We take the long way. We find a nice place for lunch. Seems like it's just locals here. The smell of garlic and fresh bread fills the air. We order pasta, take our time, laugh about the day's riding. The ferry can wait. By the time we make it to the seaport in Livorno, it's already getting dark. And of course there are a few road closures on the way. The normal way to get to the ferry port is blocked due to construction, and we're circling, trying to find the entrance. My GPS is useless.
Keine Ahnung.
We're tired, it's late, and for a moment I feel the weight of the responsibility. This one is on me.
Golfo Aranci. That's where we need to be.
Then we find it. The tension melts.
Alter, was war denn das für ein Theater?
The delay wasn't a problem, it was a gift. We board the ferry with a bunch of other motorcyclists and vehicles. Cold beers in hand, we sit on the deck as the boat pulls away. We arrive in Olbia, in northeastern Sardinia, early in the morning. We roll off the ferry, and the first order of business is proper Italian coffee and breakfast. We didn't have proper breakfast on the ferry, so we find a nice place near the port. Finally, good coffee. The plan for the trip is to have 2 distinct base camp locations where we will stay a few days and explore that part of the island. The first base is in the center of the island on the west coast, the second will be on the east coast. So today's journey will take us from the northeast corner in Olbia all the way across to the island's west coast. We take lots of curvy roads, a couple of straight parts, but mostly curvy roads through the mountains. It's a beautiful, beautiful drive. We arrive at the hotel when the sun is about to set. I've stayed at this place before. There aren't that many hotels in this area, but this one has a beautiful location right on the bay. The light is golden and the place has everything: a pool, beach access, and a view that makes you want to stay forever. We take the opportunity to jump in the water for a bit and have a first drink sitting on the beach, just enjoying life. Peter and Christian seem happy. That's good, that's what I want. But I'm already thinking about tomorrow, the route, the timing, the stops. I want every day to deliver. That's the first night in Sardinia. The next day, we explore the northwestern part of the coast. I have different routes planned, and since we're based in the center of the island on the west coast, this route takes us up along the coastline all the way to Alghero, a city in the north. Beautiful coastal roads, exactly what you go to Sardinia for. Relatively empty roads with coastal views for most of it. We spent a little bit of time in Alghero, and there's actually a reason for the stop beyond just taking a break. Peter had lost one of his gloves shortly after arriving in Sardinia. Alghero is the first town that actually has motorcycle stores. It seems we keep losing stuff on this trip. On our way to the motorcycle store, I lose a tiny part of my camera. We stop, backtrack, and spend minutes searching on the road for this little piece. And we find it, somehow. We also find a new pair of gloves for Peter. Problem solved, again.
So, we got a little bit of rain coming in from the sea.
I'm constantly thinking 3 steps ahead, checking routes, monitoring weather, reading the group. Are they having the right amount of stops? Is the pace good? I want every moment to be worth remembering. So we're just minutes outside of Alghero, which is down there, down in the valley, in the mountains, and it rained a little bit, so it's quite humid here now. After Alghero, we stop in the town of Bosa, a colorful little town along the river with pastel-colored houses lining the waterfront. Above the town sits the castle of Serravalle, perched on the hilltop. It's a medieval fortress from the 12th century, with old stone walls and a tower that overlooks the entire valley and coastline. We take some time to walk around, explore the ruins, and take in the views. It's one of those spots that make you appreciate how much history is just sitting here on this island. Then we take the inland route back to our hotel. It's a nice ride, full of riding, with a couple of stops in between and beautiful scenery the whole day. The group is settling into a rhythm. No rush, no pressure, just good riding and good company. At least, that's how it looks. Since we went north the day before, the next day is going south along the southwestern coast. This part isn't all along the coast, but mostly. Again, a beautiful drive with lots of curvy roads. We passed one of the major beaches, and because it's very early in the season, there's no one there. But I remember it from previous trips that there's a little cafe on the beach and you have to know where it is in order to find it. The weather is not perfect today. Even though the sun peeks out every now and then, the sky is still very cloudy, but at least the roads are dry now. The most southern stretch of today's route traces along the coastline, and the road and views are spectacular. We keep on going south, and just like the previous day, we take the inland route back to the starting point. We find a small restaurant for a lunch stop. So we had one crazy ride through the mountain curvy road here. It was like absolutely amazing. It's lunchtime now, it's almost 3 o'clock, so we're gonna have a small bite to eat and then it's back to the hotel. When we come back to our base camp hotel, we use the opportunity to take a couple of video shots. There's one of those many nuraghi towers, ancient stone structures unique to Sardinia, very close to the hotel, and the entire setting is beautiful. We go out there, take a few photos, enjoy the sunset, and then head to the local town to have dinner. That closes out day 5 for us. It's day number 6, and we're leaving the west coast to head east, right across the island, where we have another base camp for 4 nights where we stay, and we'll do sort of tours around the area of the east coast. We have about 300 kilometers. It says 5 hours of riding time. Let's see how long it actually takes, but it'll be through the mountain ranges, the center of the island, so it's going to be very curvy, just like the previous days. We leave the west coast and zigzag away through the center of the island to our second base camp hotel on the east coast. We take mountainous roads the whole day, and the destination is somewhat close to Arbortax, a very popular spot for motorcyclists as a base camp because there's a lot of cool roads you can access from there. This time the hotel is slightly bigger, like a resort hotel, and because it's early in the season, there isn't much going on. We have the place almost to ourselves. We have a couple of beers, close out the day and find a local restaurant within walking distance to have dinner for the night. That night, I'm lying in bed already planning tomorrow's rest day options. Short route, medium route, long route. I've got it all mapped out. Weather contingencies, scenic stops, timing. But there is this question in the back of my mind. Am I planning the perfect tour, or am I trying to control something that needs to unfold on its own? I push the thought aside. Tomorrow Peter and Christian choose what they want and I'll make sure it's great. It's supposed to be a rest day. I've built it into the schedule because the riding has been intense. Hours of curves, high elevation, full concentration. Normally on this day, I give riders 3 options, a short route, a medium route or a longer route. Or they can just stay at the hotel, relax by the pool and take it easy. But when I mention the options, Christian grins. We didn't come here to rest. Peter nods. Let's do the long one. I'm standing there half surprised, half impressed. These guys are crazy, but I love it. They're not asking me to give them the perfect experience. They're telling me what they want. They trust me enough to just say it and trust that we'll figure it out together. There's a slight forecast for some rain in the north, so we decide to head south instead, along the east coast. You have some coastal views and then you get into the mountainous area with beautiful canyons. Then we take the inland route back through the mountains, 5 hours of net riding time, a full day of riding, basically on a supposedly rest day. My hands are gripping the bars, my body leaning into every turn. The air smells like pine and warm asphalt. The sun is high, the road is ours, and the sound of the engine echoes off the canyon walls. And I realized something. I'm not leading this tour, we're riding it together. I don't need to plan the perfect experience, I need to create the space for it to happen. That's the shift. That's when I stop trying to deliver everything and start trusting the flow. Yeah, that was the rest day, or the non-rest day. It's another day in paradise, and we're heading to breakfast now. And then the tour of today is going to go north, and it's going to cover one of my favorite sections, which is the SS 125, the northern section from where we are at the moment. So it's going to be an awesome day. Day 8 is a special one. We do a west-northwest loop through the mountains. Entirely curvy roads, pretty empty too, which is nice. We have the roads almost to ourselves.
Ta-da! Ta-da! Motor Vibes Tours.
We ride along small roads where we see these old Nuragi towers. There is one just in the middle of the ride. We get off the bikes and explore it on foot. There are just ruins left over, but it's pretty cool.
Oder hier, Jungs?
We keep going, see an amazing bridge and then take a little detour down the river to explore what's around it. Then we keep going towards the inside of the country. On the northern tip, where we turn back south again, we ride along the SS 125 again. The exciting section of it, which is north of Abetax and south of Rogali. We take the road south in the late afternoon and make it back to our base camp on the east coast. The next day we head west, straight into the mountains. Not a single stretch of straight road on that particular section. We have the roads almost to ourselves again. Another full day of riding, but without any pressure. We're in sync as a group and everyone is enjoying the rhythm. It's a perfect day in Sardinia, hot enough that the ice cream stop becomes almost mandatory towards the end of the day. We make it back to our base camp on the east coast.
So, it's this time of the day.
This time of the day, ladies and gentlemen, raise the glass.
Cheers, guys.
That night, back at base, there's a bit of that last evening feeling because this is our last night on the island. We celebrated with some beers and nice food for dinner. Day 10 is basically the last day on Sardinia. We have to go back to the ferry port, which is close to Olbia. So we're heading north, and we're taking the SS 125 one more time, this time south to north, then going through the mountains. Before we head inland, we make a brief stop at Pedra Longa, a massive limestone pinnacle that shoots straight up out of the sea. It's one of those iconic Sardinian landmarks. This towering rock formation rises over 100 meters from the water, standing alone against the coastline. The contrast between the deep blue Mediterranean and the white grey stone is stunning. We take a few photos, soak in the view one last time and then continue north. As we ride inland, we spot another highlight, the ruins of a Nuragi tower sitting on a hillside. We stop and climb onto the ancient stone structure. From the top, you can see the surrounding area spread out, rolling hills, patches of forest and the landscape that's defined this island for thousands of years. It's one of those moments where you feel connected to the history of the place, standing on stones that have been here since the Bronze Age. Then we continued towards Monte Limbara. Most of the island's typical roads are at different radius turns, but not the typical hairpins you'd see in the high mountains, with the exception of Monte Limbara, and that's what makes it special. We start climbing. Hairpin after hairpin, the road twists upward. The view opens up, valleys stretching out below, the island spreading in every direction. At the top there's an old abandoned radar station, a relic from the Cold War era. It gives the place an eerie, almost otherworldly feel. But the views? Unreal. You can see across the entire northern part of Sardinia from up here. We stop, helmets off, no one says much. We're just standing there, breathing it in. This is it, the last highlight, the final punctuation mark on 12 days of riding. And it's perfect. We make our way down and continue north towards Golfo Aranci, where the ferry leaves. As we wait to board the ferry, it's time to assess my tires. Sardinia is known for its super grippy tarmac, which is great for riding, but it wears down the tires. I take a look and yeah, they've definitely seen better days. The price you pay for all those perfect curves. We board the overnight ferry that will bring us back to Livorno. The nice thing about the ferry is that it kind of breaks up the entire trip a little bit. By the time we make it to the ferry, the sun is setting and you can be out on the deck watching the sunset as the boat starts to leave. We bring a bottle of wine onto the boat, so we have wine and just kind of reminisce about the days of riding we had together. We spend some time on deck and then call it a night. The next morning we get off the ferry in Livorno. We make our way back through some faster roads this time to get close to the Lake Garda region again. We're spending the night in a town close to Trient, not quite in Trient, but close. To break up the day of long roads, I add some smaller roads towards the end of it, which take us to the mountainous region area close to accommodation for the night. The hotel is at higher elevation, I think it was like 1300 meters. Before we get there though, Peter knows this place that makes grappa close to Rovereto, so we make a little stop at the Mazzaro distillery. I picked a place that was high in the mountains because that would give us a nice view over the valley, and it was also our last night, so I wanted to pick a nice hotel for a final evening together. It's a beautiful day and we're lucky to get the perfect view from a hotel overlooking the valley. That's our last night together, and we make sure to celebrate it accordingly. We have one more day of riding after that. We leave in the morning, start with a beautiful sunrise and take some smaller roads again, just to keep the trip interesting. Final day together with these two legends. It's the first time in a long time for me to be back at the Pensajoch. It's still early May and you can still see snowbanks. That pass takes you up to over 2000 meters in elevation. Then we slowly make our way back to the Garmisch area, very close to where we met just 12 days earlier. We pull into a parking lot. Engines off, the silent feels different now. We shake hands and say our final goodbyes. Peter and Christian head their separate ways, I watch them ride off, and then it's just me standing there with my bike. 12 days, done. So that was my first guided tour in 2025. 12 days of riding, great weather, 0 incidents, a group dynamic that just worked. Here's what I've learned. You can plan every route, book every hotel and schedule every stop. You can have backup plans and contingencies and a minute-by-minute itinerary. But the best moments? They happen when you let go. The festival we stumbled into on night 1, pure luck. The delayed ferry that gave us extra time on those curvy roads instead of sitting at a port, a gift. The rest day that turned into a 5-hour mountain ride because 2 guys looked at me and said, "We didn't come here to rest." None of that was in the plan. When the ferry got delayed, I could have panicked. When they wanted to skip the rest day, I could have insisted we stick to the schedule, but I didn't. I read the group, I trusted the road, and I let the journey shape itself. And that's when I realized I wasn't leading this tour, we were riding it together. Whether you're leading a tour, planning your next trip, or just heading out for a weekend ride, the lesson is the same. Don't try to control the experience, create space for it to unfold. Because the moments you remember, they're not the ones you planned down to the minute. They're the ones that surprise you, the ones that happen when you're flexible enough to say yes to something better. And that's how you turn a good trip into one people remember. That's how you turn strangers into riding partners. And that's how my first guided tour became the perfect start into the season. Sardinia delivered, the group delivered, and I learned something I'll carry into every tour after this one. The best rides aren't the ones you control, they are the ones you allow to happen.